Hello everybody, it is I, You2Cool, back again, and today I'm going to be reviewing Peter Sam from Thomas Wooden Railway. Now this is specifically the 2007 limited edition variant of Peter Sam. And I mean limited edition. This is probably one of the hardest Wooden Railway items it was for me to get, but thankfully I found someone selling it for cheap, and I was really excited to get this guy. For Thomas Wooden Railway, I don't have a lot of the narrow gauge engines. The only one I've had for the last few years is Duncan. Just Duncan. I've had him since 2023, I want to say. 2023 or 2024, it was one of those years. And I've been really thinking about getting the Skarloey engines again. Renius is coming back to the show and in the merchandise line at least. So I was really interested in getting some of the other characters, and I figured Peter Sam is probably the most interesting character to start with because he is probably the rarest. There's a good chance he could come back, and I'm definitely gonna get the new one just to see what the new Peter Sam is like, and also just to support the narrow gauge engines because they're easily some of the coolest characters in the Thomas toy line. It's a shame that they were gone for so long, even if it makes sense, because they really stopped being relevant after, Series 18? Speaking of relevance, Peter Sam is a decently well-known narrow gauge engine. I think most people know the story. Peter Sam used to live on a railway with Sir Handel. Both of them went by different names. And he also had a different funnel. It didn't look like a square. It didn't look like someone sat on it. Rather, it was a normal funnel. I think it was the exact same mold as Duncan's here in the Wooden Railway line. And then, due to one icicle, Peter Sam's life would forever be changed. He now has this special funnel. Weirdly enough, the special funnel version of Peter Sam is really hard to find in Wooden Railway. For some reason, again, this is a limited edition item. And this was the only classic style Peter Sam with the special funnel. For some reason, I learned this recently. In 2011, of all years, 1 year before the narrow gauge engine would come back with their big revamp, Peter Sam would come back in his original body style, the pre-special funnel and learning curve sort of revamp, where the engine would be a lot thicker, right? You see how thin and narrow Duncan is? Compare that to how chunky Peter Sam looks. I feel like this is pretty accurate to the show, right? This looks pretty in line with how they both are. Yeah, no, there was a thinner version of Peter Sam that was just re-released in 2011 in a 3-pack with Rusty and I think Renius or Skarloey. It was one of the red ones. And so just what happened here? Why does Thomas Merch do that? Where they'll suddenly update a character and then immediately take it back. It's I'm really hoping that this trend stops with the new merchandise line. That the new merchandise line will just have consistently designed engines. And if they do get updates, those updates, stick. Because again, this isn't exclusive to Wooden Railway. Several toy lines have this issue where they'll just randomly update an engine and then immediately revoke that update. Or immediately downgrade an engine, even though it was pretty well received. I don't know what it is. Is it a cost-cutting measure? The general theory with Wooden Railway, at least, is that they have a lot of extra stock of certain characters. And that's why, they'll still be producing old school Duck or, Donald and Douglas. They just won't update them because they just, I don't know, I guess just the budget doesn't allow for it or something, I don't know. But yeah, Peter Sam is a pretty notable character, having a couple episodes. The Special Funnel arc and also the Magic Lamp arc, which I think is really cool, where Peter Sam learns the story of Proteus, an engine with a magical lamp that could help anyone see through the dark. And Peter Sam would later go on to find the, statue of Proteus, and that was really awesome. So yeah, Peter Sam is a nice green engine, number 4. And he has a square funnel. This model is clearly based on the large-scale prop of Peter Sam that was built around, I think, Season 6. I don't think he used a large-scale prop in Season 5. I believe it was still the small-scale one they built for Season 4. It's a very nice dark green, pretty different from any other engine besides maybe Big City Engine, but I think Big City Engine is a bit more olive green than Peter Sam's deep grass green, if that makes sense. There are little lines there to represent his piston rods. There actually is a CGI version of this model, but I believe that one's even rarer than the non-CGI version. And then the last variant of Peter Sam to be made in Thomas Wooden Railway is Quarry Dust Peter Sam, which was released after Blue Mountain Mystery, was the only one made by Mattel when they took over the line, because Wooden Railway continued for up until 2010 with no changes. Then in 2011, Learning Curve was briefly owned by Tomy, the same ones that make the play rails and the capsule play rails and stuff. So yeah, they took over with the Thomas Wooden Railway line, and the engines are pretty infamous. I have a Thomas that I reviewed a while back on my shelf. I'm not reviewing on my shelf because it's kind of a mess right now, but yeah, the 2012 engines are pretty hit or miss. Although I will say the CGI engines are actually, at least the CGI narrow gauge engines are actually pretty great. There's a Sir Handel apparently. I know Skarloey is a pretty popular one with the community. So yeah, Peter Sam, it says in gold text. It's a little hard to read unless you shine it against the light. There is his number 4. I used to have a Trackmaster Peter Sam, but I unfortunately had to get rid of it because it didn't work no more. He has this coal load here. And here's the back. There's supposed to be some windows on there. I believe there are 3 windows on the back of Peter Sam, but they are not detailed, unfortunately. Probably my biggest complaint with Thomas Wooden Railway line is they would just never detail the back, unfortunately. Even though some characters have some pretty intricate back detailing, so I get it, simplicity is the best policy, but Peter Sam, as it says over here, base. I gotta show the wheels because they say 2003 because they were molded in 2003. So again, here's Peter Sam next to my only other narrow gauge engine. I don't know who my next one is gonna be. I'm thinking Rusty because a friend of mine has Rusty. They also have Duke, but he's missing the tender. I think the other most interesting one I could go for is, this is gonna sound stupid, but Renius's 2004 variant. Probably one of the most iconic Wooden Railway items, or rather infamous items. I think it would be really interesting to get that, mainly for the Quarry car pack. I feel like that'd be a really good pack to own, just to have some more rolling stock, and also just to have a Renius that's just completely you could pass it off as a separate character if you really tried. So again, yeah, here's Peter Sam next to Duncan. One being based on the small scale prop, one being based on the large scale prop. It's really interesting, sort of seeing the evolution of how the merch represented the show. Again, it really stinks that a lot of Peter Sam merch is extremely hard to find, I think, because I don't know about the others. I haven't seen Take Along Peter Sam in a while. I think Trackmaster's a little up there, but all old Trackmasters honestly are. That's why I think Wooden Railway is probably the most simple toy line to collect, but still worth it. Because Take and Play, there's not really much to Take and Play. There's a lot of important characters missing, so Wooden Railway was, in my opinion, the most influential for me to get. So yeah, Peter Sam. Overall, a pretty good item. I should mention there's a nick on the eyebrow. It's not Peter Sam's piercing, unfortunately. My friend Ty actually has this item. I wonder if I should ask him to review this on Mupptown Funk or something. That'd be really funny. Oh, I know. Mupptown Funk's a separate guy. What am I talking about? Anyways, that's all I have for Peter Sam. I hope you all enjoyed the review, and I shall see you all around. Bye-bye.